Welcome back to the channel, guys. Looks like you might have issues with your starter on a 3.6 cheap Grand Cherokee 2011 and up. We have a occasional no start, slow start, click and no crank, so we're gonna go ahead and put in a replacement starter. Known good. First thing what I did is drive the car on the ramps so you have room to work underneath. Second, pop your hood for more daylight. Third, come here in the back. Under your passenger seat you will find your batteries. I've disconnected both the auxiliary battery and the main battery. You don't want to get shocked. Now under here, let me show you where the starter is located. Starter is located here on the driver's side, right by the motor mount here. So bad design. In order to get the starter out, we have to remove the motor mount and the motor mount bracket right here. So we're gonna go ahead and start off by removing these plastic covers, this structural brace here, because end of the day we need to support the engine, lift the engine from the oil pan here, and we won't have enough room to work from here. So we have more room to work from the bottom, from the front side, looking that way. You have some 10mm bolts, and that probably is 13 that you need to undo to remove this cover. Let's go ahead and get it done. These covers are removed on this metal brace that protects the electrical power steering unit. You have 13mm. The plastic cover here in the front is 10mm, one on both sides and few in the front here. Now that reveals our front. You can see our motor mount, the motor mount bracket, and the starter hiding right behind there. So next thing we're gonna go ahead and do is remove that heat shield. There's a couple 10mm on the side here that we're gonna go ahead and remove. Gonna use a short socket or a ratchet wrench. Shield held by two 10mm is removed. Now we can go ahead and loosen the top nut. Should be 15, and the two bottom ones holding the motor mount, top side on the bracket and the bottom side on the frame. Let's go ahead and undo these. Two bottom bolts, top nut is removed from the motor mount, and I have lifted up, checked up the oil pan, little piece of wood on oil pan and the rag to make it softer, and I've cranked it up high enough for me to be able to move the motor mount and give me a good access to the bracket bolts. One here, and one on the top there. So let's go ahead and break those loose, unscrew them. 3 bolts are out. There is also one hidden one that I didn't see first. Where are you? Right behind this wiring harness, fitting another 15. That's gonna be our last one, so we can remove our bracket and motor mount together. Now that the bracket is loose, then go ahead, remove the bracket, remove the motor mount. Come on. Okay, motor mount's coming out of the way. Easier if you have 2 hands that you can use. There they go. There's your mount and there's your bracket. Easier to do it with 2 hands. So, but one man, one camera, one job. Next up, we can go ahead and remove the power cable on the starter and also unplug the connector. Make sure to undo this red clip. Okay, our connector is removed. The 13mm nut that is right there on that stud is removed. There is a bolt holding the wiring harness, so it might be a little tight, but just give it a little pull and it will slide over the stud. Next up, we are going to remove 2 bolts, one right here and the other one up here. Gonna use probably a couple extensions. That should be a 15mm bolt, both lower and upper. Okay, both of them are loose. Top one here, bottom one here. Okay, here it comes. Make sure you don't let it fall on you. Old one out, new one going in. Replacement starter is in place. I pulled in those two 15mm bolts that are holding it on there, on the bell housing, and now it's time to hand tighten them down. Reconnect our power cable right there and our connector. Here we have our power cable reconnected, 30mm nut reinstalled. Our connector is plugged back in, red security clip locked in, made sure it's not coming out. Next one up, we will be reinstalling our motor mount bracket and motor mount. So let's bring them up here and start working on the motor mount bracket. Little tip on reinstalling the mount and the bracket: slide the bracket where it's supposed to be, where the bolt holes are, then lift it up as high as you possibly can, and then go ahead and slide the motor mount in and make sure everything sits. The top where the nut goes, make sure that sits in the bracket, and then you can go ahead and start bolting down the bracket. 4 bolts. All the 4 bolts are hand threaded in. Make sure you hand thread them in before tightening any of them down, just assure that the holes are properly aligned. Now we take our 15mm and bolt down that bracket to the engine block. All 4 bolts are tightened down. Now we're gonna lift up this motor mount. There's a little notch that has to align with that hole or slot right there. So we're gonna go ahead and lift the motor mount up and install our 15mm nut by hand. Then we're gonna lower the jack low enough for those 15mm bolts for the mount to frame will start threading in, and like this we can go ahead and drop it all the way down and finish our motor mount mounting. There is a little alignment points here, so you know where it's supposed to go. Okay, I brought down the motor mount low enough to make sure it matches the holes on both sides. That's on the rear side. Go ahead and hand thread them in. Now I can go ahead and lower the jack completely. Jack is completely removed. Hand thread them as far you can and hand tighten them down. These 2 on the bottom and also one on the top, the nut. Motor mount bolts and nuts are bolted down. Now it's time to reinstall our heat shield. 2mm bolts holding it. Heat shield is reinstalled with 2 10mm bolts. Now we can go ahead and reinstall our front cover and our brace here to protect our power steering pump. Covers are reinstalled. Next up, let's reconnect our batteries. Okay, both main and auxiliary battery is reinstalled. Time to throw this cover back on like this and just crank up the car. Here we go. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, leave a comment to help this channel grow. See you on the next one.